Wednesday, July 17th, 2:45 p.m. Mountain Time, 2019. Guys, what we're going to do in this live stream is follow storms as they are unfolding right now east of the Mississippi and west of the Mississippi, east of the Rockies in general. There are a large collection of thunderstorms occurring over the Central Plains and central Illinois, as you can see right now on this live radar feed. What I'm going to do is go over the details of these towering supercell thunderstorms that are right now making their way through central Illinois. They've been in Iowa. Not exactly sure of the extent of damage, but there is a wide area of severe thunderstorm warnings, as you can see here listed on this radar map. I'm going to back out just a little bit. Several areas under severe thunderstorm warnings, flash flood warnings, tornado warning up in Minnesota, multiple thunderstorm warnings, Massachusetts, Texas, Maryland and Virginia, Florida, Georgia, back up in Massachusetts, several different areas. We're going to track these in real time as they unfold. We're going to bounce around from state to state, following these storms, looking at the towns that they're headed towards. Like, for instance, right now, this is real time, in fact. Storms just went through Rushville, packing high winds, heavy rain, quite possibly even hail. According to the report, there was a severe thunderstorm that went through Rushville just a few moments ago. Counties of Scott, Schuyler, Cass, Morgan, 4:42 p.m., that would be local time. A severe thunderstorm was located along a line extending from Virginia to Woodson, moving southeast at 45 miles per hour, 60 mile an hour winds, quarter-size hail. Hail damage to vehicles is expected, wind damage, roofs, siding, and possible trees down. Locations impacted include Jacksonville, Beardstown, these are all in Illinois, Virginia, Illinois, Winchester, Illinois, Alexander, Ashland, Waverly, Illinois, Meredosia, Bluff Springs, Bluffs, Franklin, Murrayville, Woodson, Illinois, Chapin, Aaronsville, Manchester, Alsea, Naples, Exeter, and Lighterberry, Illinois. And that's along Interstate 72. And that's just one of many. We've got some more thunderstorm warnings that have not occurred yet in the communities of Carrollton, Greenfield, Scottville, Modesto, Palmyra, Heddick. They'll be there in about 13 minutes, so you guys, big heads up in these areas. Hardin, Jerseyville, they're about 20 minutes away. And once again, these storms are moving south-southeast at around 40 miles per hour. I think, 45 miles per hour? A line of severe thunderstorms. This is a new warning. These are the storms that are headed towards these areas that I just spoke of. Carrollton, probably within the next 5 minutes. Don't know of any tornadoes yet associated with these storms, but looking at the radar, these are some very tall. Look at that. Look at those things reaching incredible heights. Those are 45,000 foot tall storms. Easy, quite possibly even 50,000 footers. And they're starting to erupt east of the Rockies, west of the Mississippi. Now they're going across the Mississippi and up the Appalachian Mountains into the Washington, D.C. area, Virginia, Massachusetts, Florida, the northern part of the Florida Panhandle. Look at that storm system there. That is absolutely huge. We're still waiting on the monsoon out here in the desert southwest. It's trying to get its act together, but so far nothing, at least up in the southeast Phoenix area. This storm right there is absolutely huge. High winds. In fact, that's the one we're following right now. Headed into Campsville, Hamburg, Greenfield, Scottville, Franklin, Waverly. Big heads up. Gigantic storm rolling your way into the Waverly direction right now. It says it will be there in about 10 minutes. Let's take a look at the details. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 5:30 p.m. for Scott, Cass, and Morgan counties. 60 mile an hour winds, quarter-size hail is expected. This storm is moving southeast at 45 miles per hour. So right now, if it's in the Jacksonville area, right now as I do this video, Jacksonville, South Jacksonville, It will be in the Franklin-Waverly area in less than 30 minutes, as they are about a 20-25 minute drive. So within the next 30 minutes, Franklin, Waverly, Modesto, Manchester, Murrayville, it's right on Murrayville. This is probably a very photogenic storm. From the looks of it, that's a giant shelf cloud that's imploding. It's coming down, so it's creating large wind gusts in the front, and not only in the front, but these storms will also create wind on the backside too. I'm pretty certain that there's large amounts of hail associated with this storm. As we looked at it earlier, they were reaching very tall heights. Here's a report of wind damage right here, just north of Vandalia, right in this area here. Wind damage at 2:30 p.m. Let's see if I can get any details. Wind damage, lawn furniture, trash cans displaced, small tree limbs broken. Perry, Illinois, heavy rain. See if I can get any details. Just heavy rain right now at the moment, and that is some very, very heavy rain, as those storms are very, very tall. Wind damage in Hannibal. Let's see, is that Hannibal, Illinois? That is Hannibal. That would be Hannibal, Illinois, I suppose. Wind damage, looks like it is mild wind damage at the moment. No tornadoes, at least in that area. I think there is a tornado warning that expires in 24 minutes. We're going to hop up to Minnesota, where there's a tornado warning. You've got storms up here moving to the northeast. Let's check this storm warning out as a tornado warning for Baudette, Minnesota, Pinewood, Minnesota, Williams, Minnesota. Let's get the details right here. Tornado warning expires in 24 minutes. Severe weather statement from the National Weather Service out of Grand Forks. A tornado warning remains in effect until 5:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Central Lake of the Woods County. 4:49 p.m. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Fonts, moving east at 25 miles per hour. A tornado and ping-pong ball size hail. Radar indicated rotation. Expect damage to mobile homes, roofs, and vehicles. Locations impacted include Fonts and Carp. And that's what we just looked at here right before we went to that statement. This area right here. And I would say that includes Baudette, but definitely Fonts, McGinnis Creek. This area right here up in Minnesota. That would be the far northern tip of Minnesota, where they've had repetitive storms up in that area for at least the last 3.5 weeks that I know of. If we look at the GO 16, this has been a common trend. Severe thunderstorms every afternoon, it seems like, generate up into the southern border of Canada, come back down in through Minnesota, Wisconsin, over into Michigan and the Great Lakes. Today, they're a little farther south, moving through Minnesota, Iowa, and then down into central Illinois that we're following right now. We're going to take a look at some other storms also that are producing severe weather situations, severe thunderstorm warning in Maryland. Look at this. Absolutely loaded with energy. And this again is in the Baltimore area, Ellicott City. We've seen flooding events in Ellicott City now twice in the last 3 years, and they've called them both 1,000-year floods, and they've happened in less than 5 years. But let's take a look at some of the details. Heavy rain in the Ellicott City area. Let's see how fast these storms are moving. Hopefully they're moving quickly. Severe thunderstorm warning expires in 5 minutes. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 6 p.m. Eastern Time for southeastern Carroll, northeastern Howard, and southwestern Baltimore counties. A severe thunderstorm was located over Oakland or 9 miles west of Pikesville, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. So that's a good thing. At least it's moving quick. What happened before out over Ellicott City, the storms stalled, dropping copious amounts of rainfall in a very short period of time. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, small hail, but you can see this is covering a wide area, several warnings, and the orange barriers that you see here, these parameters are special marine warnings, and that's due to the high winds associated with these severe thunderstorms. The leading edge of these thunderstorms is pushing high winds, so it's creating waves on these bodies of water. What is that, the Chesapeake Bay, I think? Let's read the warning and see what it says. Special marine warning. issued from the National Weather Service for Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The National Weather Service in Sterling, Virginia has issued a special marine warning for Chesapeake Bay. From Pools Island to Sandy Point, Maryland, Chesapeake Bay north of Pools Island in Maryland, Chester River to Queenstown, Maryland, and Patapsco River, including Baltimore Harbor, until 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's for another, what time is it now? 6, for another hour and a half. Strong thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 18 nautical miles northwest of Middle River to 17 nautical miles west of Fort Smallwood State Park, and near Key Bridge, moving east at 25 knots. Wind gusts of 35 knots or greater on these bodies of water. So they've issued boaters in small craft could be thrown overboard by suddenly higher winds and waves capsizing their vessels. So the locations are all through basically Chesapeake Bay, all in this area here that's surrounded by orange, and actually even over here as well. I just saw that. That must be a new one. Special marine warning expires in 34. Actually, when does that expire? Expires in 34 minutes. So this one's almost set to expire, but the same situation. The high winds from the leading edge of this long line of thunderstorms is creating waves on that body of water, which is a gust front associated with strong thunderstorms was located along a line extending from near Key Bridge to near Port Tobacco River and south of Fairview Beach, moving east at 35 knots. So this is moving pretty quickly, but the high winds you can see along the leading edge of this thunderstorm. You can see that line right there. Do you see that line extending out in front of the thunderstorm complexes? That's the wind, and that's creating high waves and choppy conditions on these bodies of water. So big heads up out here in the Ellicott City area near Baltimore, Edgewood. Storms moving your way, severe thunderstorms. Don't know if they're capable of producing tornadoes, but there's always that chance. Tornadoes have been pretty quiet over the last month compared to how it started earlier in the spring, but Kingsville, Towson, Hampton, Falston, Jarrettsville, big storms heading your way, moving rather quickly. There's a storm right here that is moving at 25 knots to the north-northeast, hail size of 1/2 inch. Storm back here, pretty much same scenario, moving northeast at 25 knots. Doesn't indicate anything about hail, but the darker the colors you see on here, the greater the probability of hail and very strong downpours. Stewartstown, it's about 5 minutes away from this very large thunderstorm. New Freedom is wrapped up in the rain right now as I do this video. Jefferson, Spring Cove, Jarrettsville is just about in the edge or the south edge of this thunderstorm. Lithersville, Hampton, Pikesville, Milford Mill, right in the middle of the storm activity. Randallstown, Garrison. Garrison looks like it's got a high wind alert. Wind damage in Garrison. Right there you can see at 2:47 p.m. There is a plethora of thunderstorms unloading right now as I do this video. We'll go down to D.C., where there are severe thunderstorm warnings. Alexandria in Washington. Let's see if we can get any details on these storms here as they're unfolding. Severe thunderstorm warning expires in 16 minutes. Immediate broadcast requested. Severe thunderstorm warning from the National Weather Service out of Baltimore and Washington until 6:15 p.m. So for about another 17 minutes. Severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from Huntington to 6 miles east of Quantico, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. Hazard 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and small hail. So these storms are moving pretty quickly if there is a bright side to any of these thunderstorms, but they're very strong when they do remain. And you can see a line of wind. That's wind on the front, and not only the front, but the back side of these thunderstorms too. We're going to go up to Pennsylvania, where you can see yet more thunderstorm warnings up in the Pennsylvania area. Red Lion, about 5 minutes away or less from severe thunderstorms moving into your area. Spry, York, Shiloh. These storms are moving northeast at a pretty good clip. Storm right here is moving at 24 knots to the north-northeast, and that's a sail just south of New Freedom. And that's in Pennsylvania. Very large collection of thunderstorms, and they're only getting bigger. Going back to, I'm going to go down to Florida now. In the Florida Panhandle, there were storms firing up right before, or actually as I was getting this video live stream together. This area here looks like a collection of large thunderstorms, very tall ones at that. Here's where the thunderstorm warning is at. In fact, it just did expire in the county of southwestern Marion County in northern Florida. It expired just now within the last 15 seconds. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, small hail, damage to rooftops, siding, and trees. Rainbow Lake Estates, Ocala Airport, Donaldson, and Romeo. A lot of lightning also included with that storms. Florida is known for its lightning anyway, but they are talking about the possibility of excessive lightning in that area. And I know when I first started this live stream in the Florida Panhandle, there were a lot of storms occurring, and if I'm not mistaken, they're still there. Northern Alabama moving over into northeastern Georgia. Yeah, look at those storms right there in Florida. Big, tall storms. So let's go back to the radar. This radar can give us information from all around the world, believe it or not. We're going to go back to central Illinois, where that storm has really picked up. Look at the forward speed of that thing. It's almost to Waverly now, and it's been less than 10 minutes. So it's actually gaining speed. So if you're in Waverly, big heads up, storm coming your direction, moving at 39 knots. That is moving along at a very fast pace. This was a very strong thunderstorm. You can see the high wind line right out in front of it. See that line right there? That's wind. Waverly's already feeling the wind from the storm. Huge storm. That expands from, oh my, up into Havana, all the way down to, oh, that's a tornado signature over here, north of Wellsville, headed towards Montgomery City. That's definitely a tornado signature, guys. The pink right there, south of Ladonia. Be careful. Could be a tornado. Could be a tornado in that area. It just did occur. There's no warnings out yet, but the radar is showing us the possibility of cyclonic activity right in there, north of Wellsville, between Wellsville and Ladonia. Wow, this is a big, powerful storm. So Waverly, Palmyra, Franklin, New Berlin, storm is within 5 minutes of your area and moving very, very quickly. The media broadcast requested severe thunderstorm warning from the National Weather Service out of St. Louis. And this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Calhoun County, Greene County, northwestern Madison, western Macoupin County, Jersey County. And this definitely includes the counties of Morgan, where Waverly's at, Jacksonville's in Morgan County. Hazards 60-mile-an-hour winds, penny-size hail. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. This includes Interstate 70 in Missouri. This is a huge storm system reaching all the way down into the St. Louis area. Missouri between exits 217 and 227. So we're going to definitely keep a close eye on this storm. We're going to come back to it in a minute, but this is gaining strength. In fact, it's gaining forward speed. It was just in Jacksonville less than 10 minutes ago, and now it's right at the edge of Waverly. Look at that. Heads up, Waverly. You got a big storm coming your way. I'm sure you're well aware of it, as the leading edge of this storm has very high winds. So big heads up if you're in that area. We're going to go up to North Dakota, where there's been a fairly new severe thunderstorm warning issued for, where are we at here? Severe thunderstorm warning expires in 41 minutes, and that pink, once again, pink could be tornadic activity, or at least some sort of rotation in that cloud. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that and see if that doesn't turn into a tornado. But right now there's a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Hettinger County in southwestern North Dakota, west central Grant County in south central North Dakota. 4:45 p.m. Mountain Time, a severe thunderstorm warning was located in Mott County, moving to the east at 20 miles per hour, 60-mile-an-hour gusts, quarter-size hail. The severe thunderstorm will be near New Leipzig. Leipzig around 4:25 p.m. So in about 20 minutes, this storm is moving to the east at 20 miles per hour. Again, that's up in North Dakota. Tornado warning lasting another 10 minutes over here in Minnesota as it's moving rather quickly to the north-northeast. Baudette is right now in the direct path of this storm. I don't see any signs of rotation anymore, at least on this radar, but there's still an active tornado warning, so big heads up. We're going to go down to Georgia in Elbert County. We can go down to Georgia. There we go, real quick. Elberton, storms moving through Bowman. Let's get a look at the details. Severe thunderstorm warning expires in 9 minutes. National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Elbert County in northeastern Georgia. That's where Wendy is at. Wendy is a excellent sky watcher from northeast Georgia. Not seeing too much right now other than clouds, rain, and thunderstorms the way it looks. But a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles east of Danielsville, Georgia, or near Comer, moving east at 50 miles per hour. So this thunderstorm's not going to be around long wherever it goes. It just went through Danielsville, moving very, very quickly. 60-mile-an-hour winds. The winds are almost as fast as it's moving. Incredible. Expect tree damage and expect power outages in these areas. That's something else that we're going to keep a close eye on, is power outages. Some of these storms are really moving quickly. Okay, that was in Georgia. These new ones just keep coming up quicker than I can read them. Flash flood ongoing in Missouri, parts of New York. A lot of that is from the after effects, which we'll take a look at here real quick, from Tropical Storm Barry as it's making its way through the upper northeast part of the United States and then out into the North Atlantic. So Tropical Storm Barry is almost gone. That was a very, very strange storm starting over here in western Tennessee. It went down into the Gulf of Mexico, made a circle, went back up through Louisiana, through Arkansas, where it dropped about 12 to 16 inches of rain, I think, in places, maybe more. And now it's making its way through Indiana, back through Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and now through the upper northeast part of the United States, where there are severe thunderstorm warnings right now in Massachusetts, courtesy of the remnants of Tropical Storm Barry. What you're looking at here in central Illinois has nothing to do with Tropical Storm Barry. These are random thunderstorms that have been created today. That is a huge storm. Wow! Unbelievable! There's going to be some storm damage in there, guys. Don't see any tornado warnings for that area yet, but don't be surprised, especially in northeastern Missouri. Those are some incredible storms, reaching 45,000 feet, if not taller, especially right in here. Those are new storms in northeastern Missouri. We're going to take a look and watch for updates in that area, because those storms are reaching some massive heights. Unbelievable. But the flash flooding that we're looking at in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, and even parts of Missouri, I think those are courtesy of the remnant lows from Tropical Storm Barry. We're going to go back to Illinois here in just a second, following that storm that's moving through. Wow, that's moving very, very quickly. Okay, it's on Waverly right now as I do this video. It's just entering the small community of Waverly. Population of around 1,500 people. Murrayville, right in the center of this thunderstorm, reaching up into Ashland, Virginia, Chandlerville. It's headed towards Springfield. Low Ami. These are all small communities between or that are on the outer edges of Springfield, in between Springfield and Jacksonville, Illinois, along I-72. This storm is now on Waverly, Palmyra, Whitehall, Root House, Manchester. You guys are right in the center of this storm as I do this video. But over here in northeastern Missouri, we got to keep a very close eye on this area. Don't be surprised if there's not a tornado in that area. Those storms are very, very tall, and they're forming very, very quickly. Storm warning down here. Let's check this out. Flash flood warning expires in 5 hours and 20 minutes. Evacuation requested. Flash flood warning. The National Weather Service of Springfield, Missouri. The National Weather Service in Springfield has issued, this is Missouri, a flash flood warning for northern Shannon County in south central Missouri, southern Dent County in south central Missouri until 10:30 p.m. tonight. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the area. Up to 3 inches of rain have already fallen, and expect more to come. Creeks, streams, and low water crossings will be especially susceptible to the dangers of flash flooding. And the Current River State Park, Ozark National Scenic Park, riverways in Jadwin, Darien, Acres. This warning includes, but not limited to, the following low water crossings. Route KK at Gladden Creek, just north of Acres. They're actually advising people in those areas to possibly evacuate, at least for the next 5 hours, as these storms are very persistent and they're still coming on. Well, we got here more flooding, street flooding, roads closed, vehicles stranded. Where's that at? That would be north of Farmington, Pan Hills, Bon Terre. So we got cars stalled. As this storm system here is not moving near us quickly, it's only moving to the north-northeast at 9 knots, producing 3/4 inch hail. So these are moving much, much slower than the ones up to its north. This one's moving at an incredible clip. Look at that. And getting bigger. Wow, that's a huge storm. Moving right through central and west central Illinois. And this part right here is what we need to keep a close eye on over here in northeastern Missouri, as those storms are really reaching incredible heights right in this area here. In fact, let's speed this up just a little bit. Yeah, there could be potentially some heavy-duty flash flooding, large hail, high winds at minimum in northeastern Missouri in the next 30 minutes. At minimum. And these storms are growing very, very rapidly. That's why I decided to do this live stream today and follow these storms as they're unfolding, because some of these have incredible potential. The storm right now moving through central Illinois is gaining momentum. It's already over Waverly now. It's been less than 20 minutes. So that storm is moving at probably now near 50, probably 55 miles per hour. And whenever we see pink on this radar, which we don't see a whole lot of, thankfully, right now, the dark orange or high winds and heavy rains. But anytime you see pink, like there's a little bit over here, pink does, but not always, but it does mean there could be rotation in that area. There's pink right there, just north of Wellsville. And that could be a potential tornado. At least it means rotation. No guarantees, though, but that's what I'm seeing on this radar. So, big storm moving through the Central Plains. I don't know how much rain this has dropped at this moment because it's unfolding, but we're going to keep a close eye on it. 1/2 inch hail being reported in New Berlin, Illinois, from the storm system that's moving east-northeast. Actually, that segment's moving east-northeast, but the entire storm system is moving to the east-southeast at around 45 miles per hour. Quite possibly even quicker than that. 1/4 inch hail in Carrollton, Illinois. Whitehall, Illinois. Probably looking at 1/2 inch hail at least, quite possibly even 1/4 as well. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Whitehall, Illinois. Radar indicated 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and penny-size hail. So not too big a hail, but still big enough to put dents in your car. So, huge storm system moving through the central plains. We're going to go over to now back to Minnesota. There was a tornado warning, which is still in effect in this area, expires in 1 minute. Now, this is transferring into a severe thunderstorm warning, moving towards the area of Pinewood, Minnesota. That's right up on the border. That's on the border of Canada, if I'm not mistaken. We're getting there. Yeah, we go. Yeah, that's on the border going into Canada. So severe storms moving into southern Canada, north of Thunder Bay. Big line of storms moving in, guys. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for, I think this is northeastern Minnesota. Remains in effect for Central Lake of Woods County. Special weather statement out of Grand Forks, North Dakota. A tornado and ping pong ball size hail. The storm moving east at 25 miles per hour in the area of Central Lake of Woods County. So this one's about to expire, at least the tornado aspect of this thing, but the severe thunderstorm warning will continue for the next 15 minutes. Once again, moving towards Baudette, Pinewood, Stratton, North Branch. I don't know the way it's moving, probably within the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. Williams, Roosevelt experiencing moderate rainfall, possibly some high winds. Tornado warning just expired here in Minnesota, which is a good thing, but still heavy thunderstorms. Let's go back over to North Dakota, where this severe thunderstorm warning will expire in 30 minutes. These pinks, you got to watch out for these pinks. Luckily, this is out over a rural area, but the pink sometimes indicates rotation, or at least extremely high, very tall thunderstorms. Right in here, New Leipzig, experiencing high winds, heavy rain. The storm system is moving to the southeast at 21 knots, showing 1.5 inches hail in that area. So big heads up if you're in this area of North Dakota. Right now it looks to be out in a rural area, not affecting too many people, which is a good thing. But you can see its path moving to the east at 21 knots. It'll be down here at 408, still out in a rural area, which is a good thing. But if it remains together or gets larger, it could affect Fort Yates, Selfridge, Cannonball. This is all in North Dakota. Solon, McIntosh, McLaughlin. That's a ways out yet, and it has to remain together. Right now, it's a small but very potent severe thunderstorm. Let's go out to Pennsylvania again, keeping an eye on these storms here, as they too look like they're getting a little bit larger. Severe thunderstorm warnings up headed into Allentown. That'd be in Pennsylvania, south of Reading. This area here, which includes Lancaster, Columbia, Maytown, Mountjoy, Elizabethtown, Akron, Denver. I didn't know there was a Denver, Pennsylvania. There is definitely a Denver, Pennsylvania. Really? Didn't know that until just now. Right there it is. You're in the path of a severe thunderstorm. I'm sure you know it because these are probably very photogenic storms. Some of these storms are very tall, and I'm sure that the shelf clouds associated with the leading edge of these thunderstorms are highly photogenic, but I would not recommend going out and standing in them because it looks like they're capable of producing very, very high winds, which could produce flying debris. So you want to stay inside during these storms. This storm system here is going to remain in effect until 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So this one's going to expire in, I think it's got a few minutes left. Yeah, 27 minutes or so. Severe thunderstorm warning. No, expires in 1 hour and 12 minutes. And this is from the National Weather Service in State College, Pennsylvania. Severe thunderstorm warning for Lancaster County, Dauphin County, and southern Lebanon counties. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, penny-size hail. Expect damage to trees, roofs, siding, and possibly power lines down in these areas. We're going to be watching for power outages in these areas as well. I'm keeping an eye on that. In fact, let me pull up the power outage site. Large hail, especially in central Illinois. Wow. Let me check that out real quick, guys. Go back to the radar. And let's Move, let's see, take this over here. I gotta find that hail. Please bear with me. I gotta find the hail site. In the meantime, we're going to go back to Illinois and keep an eye on that storm going through central Illinois. Waverly is right in the center of probably what seems like a dishwashing machine right now. Very heavy rains, high winds. The leading edge of this thunderstorm is just past Waverly, headed towards Auburn, Thayer, Verdon, and Girard. Probably be there within the next 5 minutes, and I'm looking for this to update to a severe thunderstorm warning to include the counties of Sangamon, which is where Springfield is at. It has not updated yet, but I'm almost certain it will by the looks of this severe thunderstorm and the direction that it's moving. Headed towards Petersburg, Athens, Williamsville, Sherman, Riverton, Morrisonville, Raymond, Carlinville, Palmyra just entered the storm. Greenfield now just entering the storm. Still watching this over here in northeastern Missouri, as that definitely looks like tornadic activity, quite possibly, if nothing else, very, very large hail. Wow, big storm system. What's going on, guys? Be safe out there. Thank you, Terry. Trying to keep an eye on the chat room and watch these storms as they're unfolding in real time. If any of you guys are in the line of these storms, take cover, especially in central Illinois, west central moving into the southeastern part of Illinois. Huge storm complex. Chandlerville right in the center of some very heavy rain, quite possibly flash flooding. Virginia, Beardstown. In fact, there's an alert from the Beardstown area. Quarter-size hail being reported from Beardstown. Rushville probably saw some hail, high winds, maybe a little bit of rain in Rushville, Illinois. That would be Schuyler County. It's past Rushville now. It looks like they are in the clear for the rest of the night, or at least for the time being. But wow, right now the leading edge of this storm, it is a doozy. I'm waiting on this to update to include Sangamon County, Springfield, Chatham, Pawnee. The storm is moving very, very quickly in that direction. You can see the radar coming from, see the center of location where this is coming from? Look at how big that storm is. Get a load of that. That's going up near Kewanee, Princeton. That's Davenport, Iowa, way up there. Here's another strong system. West of Aurora. You're getting into Joliet. That's just a few miles south of Chicago. Wow, this is a huge storm complex. I would say that any minute now they will be updating this to include Sangamon County. This storm is headed into Sangamon County very, very quickly. We're going to come back to that here in just a moment, as that is a very large, powerful storm that's remaining organized. That's been on the ground for several miles as it left central Iowa, moving down through west central Illinois, and is still on the move. Incredible. I'm going to go over here to the storm that's located in Missouri, right there. And this radar comes out of St. Louis, Missouri. Right here is where this radar comes from, and you can see the storm is convening in the St. Charles, Florissant, St. Louis area. It's moving, actually this thing is moving to the east, it's moving to the southeast, it's moving to the south, directly into the St. Louis area. So St. Louis, St. Charles, Chesterfield, and the St. Louis surrounding area, if this storm stays together, which it looks like it's going to. In fact, some parts of it over here on the western side are just getting started. But this leading edge over here to the right, which will be on the east side, has been on the ground, or at least producing significant storm weather for the last 45 minutes to an hour. And it's traveled well over 100 miles. But either way, whether it comes from the north or the west, severe weather is coming to the St. Louis area within the hour. Expect high winds, heavy rain, and quite possibly hail of some denomination. See this line right here? Let me show you the winds that are on the leading edge. See that right there? So that means that storm is coming down. It's reached a staggering height and it's dropping, and that's wind leading the shelf cloud of that large storm. And I think, now they haven't updated yet, I'm sure they will, because this storm is now entering Sangamon County, and it still is very, very strong, and that's up here north by Springfield. But this extends all the way down to the St. Louis area. Let's get a read on this severe thunderstorm warning. That particular one expires in 5 minutes, but I'm sure that they're going to update it with a new one. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 5:30. That does expire in 5 minutes. Moving east, southeast at 45 miles an hour, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Damage to roofs, siding, and trees. That's headed down towards St. Louis. There will be a new warning, I'm sure, any minute, as this thing is gaining momentum over here by Montgomery City, Vandalia, Bowling Green, where they've already experienced high winds, heavy rain, and it's been very tough for the farmers in this area here. This is a big farm, this is part of the Farm Belt, right through here. Pittsfield, Whitehall, Bowling Green, Louisiana, Carrollton, Carlinville, Girard, Auburn, Chatham, all that area, Jacksonville, that's farm ground. And any of that land that's flooded near those rivers, or just flooding in general from all of the snow that we had this winter, now all the rain that we've had this spring, now moving into the summer, it takes its toll on the soil. And even if the soil does dry out, if it's been flooded for an extended period of time, it damages the soil, and it takes the soil a couple of years to recover. So even if the farmers can get their crops planted, the yields are more than likely going to be below average. So any type of long duration flooding like we've had this year really takes its toll on the farmers, and we need farmers, guys. We've got to have farmers. So I'm really pulling for you guys, and I know it's been a tough year, especially up in Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, along this river, especially the Mississippi, all the way north and south. I know it's been tough, just trying to get your crops in the fields. So, guys, I totally understand. I'm from that area. I grew up in cornfields, and I'm fairly familiar with how the process works. And I know super saturated soil does not produce good yields, if any at all. So we need our farmers. Farmers are the good guys. All right, Minnesota, Maryland. We've got severe thunderstorms. Minnesota, Maryland, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, Colorado, which we're going to go to here in a minute, Wyoming, and we're going to go to the one in Colorado. Expires in 33 minutes. Wow. There is some humongous hail right there. That's got purple in it. Humongous. It hasn't showed up on the data set yet, but I can guarantee you south of Grover, wherever this location is at, it doesn't even show. It's showing 2-inch hail. That's what this is showing. That's possible based off of the radar indication is saying 2-inch hail possible. Every bit of that. Whenever I see purple on here, usually what's reported from people on the ground, if it's in a populated area, at least 3, possibly even baseball size. So that is huge hail north and east of Greeley. This area is known for large hail. East of Fort Collins. Let's see what the severe thunderstorm warning says. That expires in 32 minutes. Wow, that is directly east of Pierce. That area is known for large hail anyway, but never makes it any easier. That large hail really takes a toll on vehicles and anything outside in general. So this is a media broadcast from the National Weather Service out of Denver. Severe thunderstorm warning out of Denver. Colorado has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Weld County in northeastern Colorado until 5 p.m. Mountain Time. At 4:18 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Briggsdale, or 29 miles northeast of Greeley, Colorado, moving east at 35 miles an hour. Hazard, quarter-size hail. That's what radar indicated. That would be damage to vehicles is what they're saying right now. But the way that radar looks, that hail is probably at least 2-inch size, if not bigger. Locations impacted right now include Briggsdale, New Raymer, and Keota. Stay prepared if you're in that area, guys. And I know if you're in these areas, you're no stranger to large hail anyway. It's quite frequent in this part of the area north of Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, where else we're talking about here? Longmont, Greeley. That area is known for large hail anyhow, but it's getting going right now as I do this video in the mid-afternoon hours, and it looks like, according to the other radars that we're watching, these storms are only going to increase as we move through the late afternoon and early evening hours from the afternoon heating. It has been very, very hot across the central and actually east central United States all day today, quite possibly setting records. In some areas, I know the feel-like temperature was 110, 111 today in some places. Just a very sticky, humid, hot summer day. And a lot of times these hot summer days can produce very heavy thunderstorms like we're seeing here. Here's a thunderstorm warning that expires in 59 minutes. Thunderstorm warning from the National Weather Service out of Duluth, Minnesota. Severe thunderstorm warning for Kuching County in north central Minnesota until 6:30 p.m. So that's another hour away. The storm is moving east at 20 miles an hour, 60 mile an hour wind gusts. Radar has indicated the possibility of penny-size hail. Locations impacted include Birchdale, Manitou, Indus, Franz Jevne State Park. So this is a small storm right now, but don't be surprised if that storm doesn't get bigger as we move forward in time. I want to go back to central or west central Illinois, where that storm system is still moving to the east-southeast. Look at that, convening on the St. Louis area. It's moving into the Springfield-Chatham area. Right now, they don't have storm warnings, so it may have toned down a little bit to just heavy rain. But there's Springfield, there's Chatham. Jacksonville's kind of in the clear for the moment, but that storm has already went through Jacksonville once. Now it looks like the backside is coming through Jacksonville, as the storm kind of opened up as it went through the west central Illinois location. Look at that huge leading edge of that thunderstorm. Big giant bow echo on that thing. So Jacksonville, prepare for more, at least moderate rain. Doesn't look like anything severe. The severe right now is just south down near Edwardsville. St. Louis is now in the severe zone, lasting for another 42 minutes. And the way this storm is moving, it will be in St. Louis rather quickly. The National Weather Service out of St. Louis, Missouri has issued a severe thunderstorm warning. And here they all are. There's too many to read. All of those in the St. Louis area. That would be St. Louis, east of St. Louis, north of St. Louis, west of St. Louis, and south of St. Louis. High winds, 60 miles an hour. The storm is moving. Some parts of the storm, this one right here, is moving at 45 miles per hour. Is that no, that's 45 miles per hour. So that storm is moving very, very quickly. Expect 60 mile an hour wind gusts, quite possibly even hail. And that's along Interstates 70, Interstate 55, Interstate 64. Between all of those exits, covering a very, very large area. But primarily the St. Louis and the St. Louis metro area. Large storms moving in right now very, very quickly as I do this video. Severe thunderstorms still in Maryland, Minnesota, Colorado just starting, and that's going to produce some very large hail. Let's see, going back to Missouri, got flash flooding. A lot going on in Missouri right now with regard to heavy rains, flash flooding, severe thunderstorms. Special marine notice. Oh, flash flooding up in Connecticut now, in Massachusetts. Now we're up in the Connecticut, Massachusetts area. This here is what's left of Tropical Storm Barry. You can see this remnant low heading out to sea, but not before it dropped a lot of heavy rain. This is a flash flood. I don't know if this is a warning. Yep, flash flood warning expires in 41 minutes. Weather Service out of Boston, Massachusetts. Flash flood warning until 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the area. Up to 2 inches of rain have already fallen around Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Per Doppler radar, flash flooding is expected to begin shortly, especially of small streams in the most rural areas. And this again is the remnant low of Tropical Storm Barry as it's making its way out to the ocean. And this orange corral that you see right here, this is the Special Marine Bulletin. And you can see this expires in another 40 minutes. And basically what that is telling us is to be safe if you're in small boats and things like that. In fact, they don't recommend even being in small boats in this area for the time being, at least until this storm kind of gets out of the area. It's just not safe because of the winds and waves. It can overtop small boats. This little area here is a severe thunderstorm warning. It just came up, expires in 55 minutes. That includes Provincetown right there. So if you're in that area, expect some severe weather, and you can see it right here. That weather is coming your way. So it's probably about 20, maybe 25 minutes max away from Provincetown. And that is a severe thunderstorm warning from the Boston National Weather Service. Winds, once again, estimated to be in the area of 60 miles per hour, maybe greater, maybe less. Possibility of large hail. Expect damage to trees and power lines. So there are probably multiple power outages in these areas. In fact, let's take a look and see. Go to the website, power outages. Yes, in Virginia, looking at 72,000 people right now in Virginia without power from those storms that I just showed you. And those are probably, yep, in northeastern Virginia, the bulk of those customers. Look at that. Wow. Fairfax County. And we're looking at the storms on radar. Here they are moving through Maryland, where 25,000 customers are without electricity. And unbelievably, there's less than 10,000 customers without power in Illinois. I'm very surprised. That was a very large, strong storm that covered a very large area. 9,000, under 10,000 without electricity. That's actually quite good. I know it's very inconvenient in today's world to be without electricity, but for the size of that storm, that's actually not too bad. They probably already had enough storms in the area this year that it's cleaned off the trees enough to where they're away from the power lines and they won't create much damage. But right now in Virginia, 72,000 customers without electricity. Unbelievable. Very strong storms. Let's look at the lightning real quick. Wow, a lot in the United States. Look at that. 45,000 and climbing. 45,600. Majority of those coming from Missouri and Illinois, right in that area. We've been following those storms. And over here in Virginia, where there's 72,000 customers, right now as I do this video, without electricity. A lot of energy here. Expanding for over almost 4,000 miles from northern Canada down to the Yucatan. Incredible. Go back to the GOES, and here's that storm that we've been following going through central Illinois. Now it's convening on St. Louis, northeastern, well, now all of eastern Missouri. See, these storms are growing very, very quickly. It's from that hot day they've had up in through here. And I remember those very hot, humid days would not always, but sometimes produce some very intense thunderstorms in the afternoon. They wouldn't last very long. Like these here, they're fast movers, and they contain a lot of lightning. I do remember those. They're like heat lightning. A lot of times, those storms would even just produce lightning and no rain. So maybe that was the case with some of those storms that moved through the central part of the Illinois, Missouri area. But that system right there just north of St. Louis. In fact, let's go back to the radar. Wow. Go back to Missouri. This is a different part of Missouri. Now I'm in this is actually southeastern Missouri. I'm south of St. Louis. These are some new thunderstorms that are starting to occur. Severe thunderstorm warning for the next 35 minutes. Out of Paducah, Kentucky, issued a severe thunderstorm warning. Central Bollinger County and southeastern Missouri, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, penny-size hail. This storm is moving east at 40 miles per hour. Locations include Marble Hill, Patton, Leopold, Grassy, and Glen Allen. So another storm south of St. Louis. We've got storms north of St. Louis. In fact, that one right there, you can rest assured that's at least large hail, probably baseball-size hail, between Imperial, Barnhart, Cedar Hill, and Burns Mill, right where that pink is at. That is very, very large hail. Right now it looks to be out over a rural area. A lot of times that hail, those storms will peak out at a very, very high cloud top, somewhere around 50, maybe even 55,000 foot. That's what gives this radar that color signature. It's from the cold air that it's receiving back, and that cold air is what creates that very large hail, because the updraft takes the moisture to very high altitudes in the clouds, creating the very large hail. And that hail comes down at a very rapid pace. And when it gets baseball size, now we're going to Mount Holly, New Jersey. Storm starting to get going over here in this area. See, the radar is a little glitchy. This is north and east of Allentown. Severe thunderstorm warning expires in 49 minutes. And this includes, where are we? Locations. Newton, Dover, Kinnelon, Hackettstown, Butler, Wharton, Rockaway, Blairstown, Mount Arlington, Franklin, Mountain Lakes, Stanhope, Riverdale, Hamburg, Netcong, Ogdensburg, Sussex, Hope, and Victory Gardens, covering a wide area. And these storms are moving east at 40 miles per hour. Lake Mohawk, right in the middle of it, right now as I do this video. And this storm system is again moving east at 40 miles an hour. Could potentially contain winds of up to 60 miles per hour, but not limited to. These are very strong storms moving at a very fast pace. And these too, like the storms in west central Illinois, are covering a very large area. Oh, we've got a tornado warning now down in, let's see where we're at here. Wow, these things are really coming up very, very quickly. Tornado warning in Lancaster County in Pennsylvania. Right in here, guys. So if you're in Lancaster County in Pennsylvania, big heads up. Let's read the warning that just came out. Expires in 17 minutes. National Weather Service out of State College, Pennsylvania, issued a tornado warning for southeastern Lancaster County and south central Pennsylvania until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. At 6:38 p.m., severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight-line wind damage were located over Wakefield, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. Hazard tornado, that was radar indicated, 55-mile-an-hour speed. That is incredible. Tree damage will occur. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles is likely. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged, quite possibly even worse. So in this area, big heads up. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Tornado warning lasting another 16 minutes. Storm moving very, very quickly to the north-northeast at 55 miles per hour. And this entire area here you see in yellow is a severe thunderstorm warning, and it is circling a tornado warning, and to the south of that is a special marine warning. So a lot going on here. The marine warning is instigated by the high winds going over large bodies of water like Chesapeake Bay or large lakes. You don't want to be on these lakes or big bays right now with wind speeds of 60 miles an hour. It's going to create very, very choppy, uncomfortable conditions that could capsize small boats. So it's best to dock your boat right away and go to a safe location on land. But you can see a large area of storms in the Baltimore area moving to the east rather quickly. Does include a tornado warning up near Oxford. So big heads up, that would be south of Lancaster and Lancaster County. A lot going on. That's a fairly new, in fact, that is a new tornado warning, lasting yet another 16 minutes. All kinds of stuff going on. Severe thunderstorm, Colorado, Minnesota, Illinois, and Missouri. Actually, 3 locations in Missouri. 2 locations in Wyoming. South Carolina has 2 locations. Unbelievable. The list is getting longer over here to my left. I don't know if you can see this or not. There we go. See the long list right there? Look at that. It just gets longer and longer. It's just one of those very hot summer days that are producing these very large, energetic, fast-moving thunderstorms. Now we're going back to Illinois. I want to see where that storm's at, what it's doing. And then we're going to take a look at the large overall scene, see if there's any new. That storm in Illinois has been taken. Oh, here we go, in Missouri. Okay, the storm in Illinois has simmered down quite a bit. Just heavy rain going through the Springfield, Auburn area right now as I do this video. The severe is in the St. Charles area, Edwardsville, Glen-Carbon. Expect severe weather, high winds, possibly in the neighborhood of 60 miles per hour. Hail anywhere from penny size to quite possibly $50 size. It just depends. Anywhere we see pink on here, especially purple, you can rest assured it is on with regard to large hail. We're going to go back out to Colorado here in just a second. But yeah, the hail, especially when it gets up to that size, can do some unbelievable damage. Let me do something here. Now we're going to go to hailreports.com and see what the map is showing right now with regard to hail. And it is showing large hail in west central Illinois, inch size near Beardstown. And these are just what's being reported. A lot of this hail is in rural areas. It's showing up on radar, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's been reported, at least as of yet. You can see hail up in North Dakota. That's been a common scene for several weeks there. Minnesota. Iowa, where it's been challenging getting the crops in the fields. Not only Iowa, but Michigan. I got pictures from Michigan of the soil that had just been through so much with this winter, the very harsh winter, the excessive amount of snow, and then, you know, the flooding. Look at these high winds. This is at, again, hailreports.com, and you can see high winds extending from northern Florida all the way up into southern Maine. the entire eastern seaboard, makes a big V, comes down the eastern seaboard, then from North Florida, up through Clarksville, Tennessee, up through central Illinois, and then up to southwestern Minnesota, where all of this high wind the large storm went through Iowa. I think there's tornado warnings on here also, right? At least a couple. Let me take the wind feature off. It doesn't show up yet because one's underway right at the moment, so it's probably just now updating, but a large amount of high wind reports coming in. Tree on a house in Montgomery County, and that would be in the Washington area. Going to be several reports like this. Here's another one out of Carroll County, and I believe this is in Virginia. This is probably why there's so many power outages, is because there's so many trees down. Multiple trees down near the intersection of South Tannery Road and Gorsuch Road. That's in Virginia, where there are 72,000. Well, here's another one from Virginia. Multiple reports of trees down in Crozet. Here's another report out of Virginia. EMS reports approximately 50 to 60 large trees down on the campus of VMI and Washington and Lee University, likely due to a microburst. And again, that's in the city of Lexington, Virginia. 50 to 60 large trees down. And this report has just came in the last 30 minutes, right in this area here. And that's more than likely one of the main culprits as to why there's over 70,000 customers without electricity. Just an unbelievable scene occurring right now, especially up and down the entire eastern seaboard, heading into not only North Florida, but down into Central Florida as well. I remember I lived in Florida years ago. Every afternoon you could almost set your watch by the storms that would form over the central peninsula, from the collision of the Atlantic winds and the Gulf winds and the storms every single day. They wouldn't necessarily be severe, but you would see the clouds start to reach incredible heights, and it may rain for 10 minutes and then it would be done. But almost every single day. There's that storm that was rolling through central Illinois. It looks like it teamed up with some storms that was already in the southeastern, right there, part of Missouri, creating one larger storm. Seems to be what's going on. Lightning is 45,000 and change. Power outages, let me update this real quick. Wow, what a different map. Look at that. Now we've got Maryland with 41,000 without power, 41,000 customers. Pennsylvania, 10,500. Florida, 10,700. Michigan, 10,100. So right now, as I do this video, between 5 states, Virginia, Maryland, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, over 135,000 customers without electricity, courtesy of all of this wild weather that's blossoming east of the Rockies. Not only east of the Rockies, but down in through New Mexico, parts of far western Texas into northern Mexico. There's some large storms as well forming right now as I do this video, but mainly east of the Mississippi, really. Right there, down into Missouri, and then all up and down the eastern seaboard. Those are the remnants up here in the northeast. Those are the remnants of Tropical Storm Barry. Here's the storms that are converging on the St. Louis area. They are moving very quickly. They're already in the St. Charles area. I'm sure, yeah, you can see, look at the wind. The wind's actually colliding right there over Kirkwood. The storm from the south is colliding with the storm coming from the north. See those long bands right there? That's a leading edge. That's wind out in front of those storms. See that it looks like a rope or a piece of spaghetti, basically. So the winds are colliding. Don't be surprised if there's not rotation in those areas. When the wind collides like that, it can produce, at least in the upper levels of the atmosphere. I don't know about the lower, because that's actually, well, it's not all lower, but you can see the leading edge of these thunderstorms are actually colliding near Chesterfield, near Clarkson Valley, actually getting ready to collide right over St. Louis. Canoka, Caseyville, Madison, Granite City. literally minutes away from severe weather. High winds, heavy rain, quite possibly some hail. Doesn't look like anything of super significant size, as those storms don't have very high tops to them. The taller storms are like over here by Wentzville. See the pinks? They're slightly visible. Those are taller storms. The darker orange and the red indicate height. Those are taller storms. These over here near fluorescent, they're respectable storms. They're strong, but not anything, super off the charts. Just expect some high winds and heavy rain. It's very normal. But the leading edge, you can see the wind out in front of these storms. It's really pushing some wind in front of them. You're feeling the high winds right now, whether it's raining or not. Wow, that's a big storm over here to the left. Wright City. Look at that. Wow, you've got storms coming in from multiple directions over the St. Louis and western St. Louis metropolitan area, even out into the rural areas. Wildwood, O'Fallon. Wentzville is like in a rent cycle of a wash machine right now. Very high winds, large hail. It's not known how large at the moment, but I can say from looking at the radar it's at least a ½ inch, and that's probably a conservative estimate. Okay, we're going to check back on the tornado warning. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some tornado at least warnings in the St. Louis area. Got tornado warnings now in another location in Minnesota. The one in Lancaster, we're going to go to there real quick. That one is expiring in 4 minutes, thankfully. So hopefully we won't have any more. The tornado warning in Lancaster, Pennsylvania expires in 4 minutes. So that's good news, but we've also got a new one now in Minnesota, which is right here in this location. That would be north of Grand Rapids. Where's that at? That's in far northeastern Minnesota, headed towards the Canadian border. This little storm is, I doubt that it will remain intact the entire journey, but nevertheless, right now it's a very potent storm. Whenever we see those pinks and purples on here, that means height. Sometimes rotation or a combination of both, rotation and hail. But whenever we see the pink on here, we know it's generally large hail. In a lot of cases, it goes unreported because they're out in rural areas, which is good. That means it's not damaging anybody or anybody's property, which is a good thing. So right now, this one's out in a rural area. Unfortunately, if farmers did manage to get crops in these rural areas, that little location right there, crops can receive hail damage quite easily, in fact, especially early in the season when the whether it be corn or beans is very small and delicate. And then when it gets larger, like when the corn gets tall, it can take on wind damage and hail damage both because it can take on more wind. So it's tough managing the farm around severe weather. I know, I grew up around it. Kind of familiar with the process, the rotation, 1 year corn, next year soy. But when it's flooded, there's just nothing happening. And then when there's storms that roll through, especially hail damage, even a tornado that goes through the center of a field. I've actually seen that. I followed a tornado one time along I-72. Very familiar with that area, and I saw a tornado go through a cornfield. So it didn't damage the entire field, but where it went through, the corn was either completely uprooted or it was laid down on the ground. Pennsylvania, this one's going to expire in about 2 minutes. That's a good thing. The storm system, though, there's still a severe thunderstorm warning headed towards Westchester, Coatesville. Phoenixville's on the edge of this severe thunderstorm warning. Didn't know there was a Phoenixville or a Denver, Pennsylvania, so I've learned a couple of new things today. Denver, Pennsylvania. Alrighty. That's cool. I'd never heard of it. It's right up here somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's go back to Colorado, see how the hail looks on, at least on the radar. Right there, you're going to see where it gets purple. If I could stop that, in fact, let me see if I can. I want to show you something. Let me back that up. Okay, right there. See that dark purple? That storm top is over 50, quite possibly 55,000 feet right there in that location. Just that location. That location right there had the potential, whether it did or not, is probably not going to be known because it looks like it was over a rural area, which is good. But that had the potential to produce at least 3-inch hail, quite possibly even bigger in that little dark purple area. Very well could have. Incredible. But it's over a rural area. It's headed towards the community of Raymer. So if you know anybody in Raymer, if it holds together, which it looks like it's going to go just north of Raymer, could see some large hail if it holds together between now and then, which is about less than 5 minutes away. But wow, at one time that was a major hail producer. But thankfully over a unpopulated rural area, which is a good thing. So tornado warning just expired in Pennsylvania, which is good. Tornado warning in Minnesota, hanging on for yet another 15 minutes. Severe thunderstorms in Maryland, Minnesota, Delaware, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. Large storm covering 3 states. Severe thunderstorm in Florida, Illinois, Missouri. Multiple locations in Missouri, Wyoming. Multiple locations, believe it or not. New Jersey, Massachusetts, seeing a lot of rain, thunderstorms from tropical storm, or the remnant low of Tropical Storm Barry exiting out the northeastern part of the United States. And then multiple flash flood alerts in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, and Missouri right now as I do this video. So once again, this storm system right here out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, or it's actually south and east of Cheyenne, but that storm there was an overachiever at one point right there. That dark purple, that's almost at the top of the scale. Doesn't go much higher than that. So when it gets up that high, anything's possible with regards to hail. It could have been 4-inch hail at one time, if it produced any. It depends on the moisture content of the storm system itself. If it didn't have enough moisture content, then it's not going to produce anything. It was just a tall storm, or a tall cloud. And that happens. I've seen clouds over 60,000 foot tall. It's incredible. And they don't do a thing. Some of them are gentle giants. And then some of them don't have to get that tall. And they're quite incredible. So back to the Minnesota, that's a very small storm headed up towards the South Canadian border. Doubt very seriously that it holds together between, like I said, now and then. It might. That's a small storm system headed just north of Effie, Effie, Minnesota. That's up in northeastern Minnesota. Again, that's a tornado warning lasting another 13 minutes right now as I do this video. I want to hop down to Florida real quick. And there's another, I wasn't aware that there was a Cleveland, Florida. I'm learning all kinds of new stuff today. Right on, Cleveland, Florida. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a Denver, Pennsylvania either. But Cleveland, Florida sits, and I should have known that because Punta Gorda, I'll never forget Punta Gorda because tropical storm, well, it wasn't tropical storm, it was a Cat 4, Hurricane Charlie, came into Punta Gorda. That's where it made landfall, Punta Gorda, Florida, back in 2004. So I'll always remember Punta Gorda for that very reason, because I was in the middle of Cat 4 Hurricane Charlie. The eye wall went right over my head, right up here in Orlando, 120 miles away. So it made landfall in Punta Gorda as a Cat 4, hit Orlando as a Cat 1 or 2, went through Kissimmee, went through Orlando, and I was right in the middle, and the storm went right over my head. But it was forecasted to make landfall up north in the northern Gulf, just north of St. Pete, in the Tampa area, and then go north and east of Tampa out through the Jacksonville area. But it turned in early. As it came around, it turned in and went right up through Punta Gorda, right in this area here, and then came directly at the Orlando Kissimmee area, which hadn't seen a tropical storm in several years, if not decades, and you talk about tree overgrowth. There were so many trees down, it took weeks to get them all cleaned up. Large branches went into power lines, and that's what took so long to get the power back on, is because there hadn't been a storm that far inland in eons, and the trees, you know, they had been trimmed aesthetically where they looked good, but a lot of them had been overgrown very close to, if not into, power lines. So it didn't take much wind at all, even though it was still a Cat 1, Cat 2 by the time it made its way into the Orlando area, because it was moving very fast, and it was a very small storm. So that enabled that storm to maintain its forward momentum and its inner eye wall strength. It came up over Orlando as a Category 1 or a Category 2 storm. It was amazing. I remember standing outside watching the first outer band come right over my head, and it had like a emerald green to it, and it was very tall. And then I went back inside, and the windows started kind of bowing in and out, especially on the sliding door. You could see it being just pulled in and out like it was breathing. It was quite an experience. I'll never forget it. Right now, there's a long line of thunderstorms extending from Punta Gorda up through Lakeland, Florida, Claremont, just south of Leesburg, and these storms are moving to the west. So we've got storms moving to the west, east, east-southeast, and to the northeast, all different directions. Quite a bit going on right now in central and north central Florida. It's been a very hot, humid day throughout the eastern half of the United States. It's always hot out here in the desert. I mean, today I think it got up to 109, but that's actually feels much better than what we saw yesterday, which we saw like 114, I think 115 in some areas. So believe it or not, 109 was actually welcome compared to what we saw yesterday. Still got the special marine warning right here in this area, not recommending being out in any boats, which, you know what, just exercise common sense. When you see lightning, which there's a lot of lightning in that area right now, and this is in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, special marine warning remains in effect. They're not recommending being out in any type of boats, really, especially small boats, because of the high winds and lightning. So if you're in small boats, guys, find a dock and go inside for a while, cool off. But storms are going to continue to roll through for at least the next hour, and these storms are regenerating. Go back here to the GOES 16. You can see these storms are starting to increase as we move forward in time. Once the sun goes down, the activity should slow down as well. But this is primarily a result of daytime heating. That's kind of what we're seeing here. That's why that one went up when it did. It's starting to accumulate down around the St. Louis area, but look for it to kind of fade before it goes, too much farther. These storms here are kind of reaching their apex. Once the sun goes down, then the storms should go down as well. This is the remainder of Tropical Storm Barry. It's now a remnant low. It's just a collection of random thunderstorms, but that was a very unusual storm. Talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and I used a metaphor, Frankenstorm, because it was just so unusual, and I know it would be hard to follow. It wasn't a traditional storm that comes in from the Caribbean or the Atlantic, with a typical flow, counterclockwise. This thing here was lingering around out here in the Gulf of Mexico, lopsided. It never even really looked like a cyclone or a hurricane. It was just a super, super unusual storm. But anyway, guys, a lot of activity going on right now in Missouri and Illinois. Big heads up. We're going to check the power outages again. The last time there was over 130,000. Let's refresh it. Now it's including Missouri, where there's 18,000, 59, almost 60,000 now out in Missouri. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states with power outages. Actually more than that, because there's other states that just aren't near the 10,000 threshold. 10,000 is the only thing that shows up on this map with regard to color. There's almost 8,000 customers in North Carolina. New York, 5,000 customers. So we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of still around 130,000 customers without electricity right now as I do this video. The lightning is probably about the same. Once the lightning starts to go down, then you know the storm energy is going to start to go down as well. That's generally a rule of thumb. So 20 minutes ago, the lightning strikes were at 45,000. Now they're at 44,000. So what's that tell us? The energy is starting to subside. So look for the storms to subside within the next hour or two. But I just wanted to give you guys a big heads up with some of these storms that were assembling this afternoon. I kind of figured they would be with the incredible temperatures that were possibly record-setting temperatures that occurred today over the Central Plains and up through the eastern and eastern seaboard of the United States. I know it was just brutally hot today. We're kind of used to it out here in the desert, but when it gets up to 111 and the humidity's at around 70%, it is air that you can literally wear. I get it. I understand. I used to live in Florida. I'm very familiar with humidity. It's not quite as humid out here in the desert, but I know today when those temperatures get up there like that, it can create thunderstorms. And you can see a large collection of thunderstorms moving into the St. Louis area. There's been a new severe thunderstorm warning issued. And I'll read you the details about this real quick. This whole area here, which we've been watching all along, they've now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for this entire area for the next 35 minutes. National Weather Service out of St. Louis, Missouri, severe thunderstorm warning. Winds possibly up to 60 miles per hour. Straight line, or let's see, impact, expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees, which that could equate into power outages. We're already seeing power outages in this area. St. Louis, O'Fallon, St. Charles, Chesterfield, Maryland Heights, Kirkwood, Wildwood, University City, Baldwin, Manchester, Webster Groves, Arnold, Creve Coeur, Overland, Clayton, Washington Crestwood, Festus, and Dardenne Prairie for the next, 35 minutes, severe thunderstorm warning. And then this energy, guys, probably, let's see, it's already 6:10 there, 7:10 on the east. So another hour and a half, when the sun's going to start to go down considerably. Once the sun goes down, most of this energy will subside. But look for it to return possibly tomorrow at about the same time from the daytime heating. Daytime heating will definitely generate severe thunderstorms. So just want to give you guys a heads up. Big tour around the United States as the storms were reaching incredible heights. Probably saw 2 or 3 inch hail at least in parts of eastern Colorado. So I'll keep you guys updated if anything new occurs. Severe thunderstorms right now in Missouri and Illinois, convening in the St. Louis area as I do this video. So big heads up, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a super day. Be safe out there.